Hi, my name is Carlos Gutierrez. I am the executive director of Cinema Tropical, and I want to welcome you all to this conversation as part of TropiChat 20, special series of conversations with key Latin American filmmakers celebrating the 20 years of Cinema Tropical. And I'm very happy to have a very special guest this evening. He's in Montevideo, Uruguay. Federico Veiroj. Hola, Federico. Very nice to have you
Hi,
here.
how are you? Thanks, Carlos. Thanks, everyone who's watching, hearing.
Great pleasure to be talking to you. We've known each other for many years, and we've always been a big fan of your work. You've been such a major figure in Latin American cinema, and we'll be talking about your films. Just before we start digging about your work, let me just give your general bio. Federico was born in Montevideo, Uruguay in 1976, where he was raised. He studied at the Catholic University of Uruguay, where he graduated in communication. Federico has directed a handful of short films and 5 feature films: Acne in 2008, which premiered at Directors Fortnight in Cannes; A Useful Life in 2010, The Apostate in 2015, Belmonte in 2018, and more recently, The Money Changer in 2019. His work has played at numerous film festivals, including Cannes, Rotterdam, San Sebastian, Toronto, New York, Morelia, and Mar del Plata. And he's also had film retrospectives at Harvard Film Archive, the Biennale in Austria, and the Swedish Film Institute. Before we start talking to him, we're going to show the trailers for his 3 of his films: A Useful Life, The Apostate, and The Money Changer. Let's go to watch the trailers, and we'll come back to Federico.
De reparar los proyectores de la sala 2. No sé si una lámpara.
Yo creo que es importante lo del telegrama que nos llegó. Es otro telegrama más por el atraso de 8 meses que tenemos del alquiler.
Hacer lo que quieras, todo.
Invitación de la casa, ¿eh?
Ah, bueno, gracias.
Encuentre su alma gemela y asóciese al cine.
No podemos continuar apoyando instituciones culturales que no sean económicamente rentables.
Hola, papá. Sí, todo bien. ¿Alguna novedad? Bueno, papá, no me esperen para cenar hoy, ¿eh? No, tengo cosas que hacer. ¿Vamos a tomar un café? ¿Querés ir a tomar un café?
Federico, welcome again.
Thank you.
So before we go back in time with your earlier films, just want to ask you how you've been. How's the pandemic treating you?
The pandemic is treating me very well. Health is good for me, my family, the people around. And I have to say that last year was better in Uruguay than this year. And I spent all the year and a half here in Uruguay. And this year it's getting better here in Uruguay. It's been more cases and, more people dying. But I don't know, it's getting better this month. Let's say the vaccine getting a good amount of people getting it. So I don't know, it's better. But in my personal case, it's been good. I've been working, I've been writing, I've been doing many things and watching films as always, and reading and having the best life possible.
Great. Let's start from the beginning. When did you know that you wanted to be a filmmaker? At what moment in your life you said, I want to be a filmmaker, and how did that come about? Because you studied communication school, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much earlier than starting study communications, because I started when I was 19, and I think it was since 15 years old that I was starting to go to cinema, to a cinematheque here in Uruguay. It was a film archive here, and they were showing new films or recent films, and also films from the catalog. And that's how I became friend of the masters of the cinema. And sitting in the theater, in the cinema, I decided, I think, to be a filmmaker, just having the emotions that those filmmakers were making me feel. I said, how come if I have the power to also do this, that I like it so much? And I think that's what the time when something made a click on me.
You were part of that. You were part of that group that made 25 watts. You work in the film, you had an acting role, and you were also involved with the film. Can you tell us more about your involvement with that film, which was like was such a landmark film in Uruguay, but also in Latin America?
Yes, of course. That was in the shooting was in February 2000, and I became friend of the directors and the producer. I knew the producer from a long time ago, but I became friend with the directors, with Juan Pablo and Pablo, since '95, because I entered into the university and they were in third year and I was just studying as a freshman, and we became friends, even if they were like bigger than me, because they were making shorts, they were making things in school, in university, and I already was part of cinema at that moment. In a way, I started studying communications because it was a little bit the more similar to kids. Sorry.
No worries.
Vale. Dale, que los comas, come lo que quieras, dale. You know, kids. In '95, I didn't have kids. That's why I was able to go to movies and all the time, 2 or 3 per day. In any case, I met those guys in university, and we became instantly friends. And when you're start working with a group of people, there's always sometimes who goes first, and they were writing, and they have the energy to do it, and it was in fact after finishing university, and I had to do whatever it was my thing to do. I did the script supervisor, mm-hmm. and also I just did a small part in the film, and I don't know, but it was the film, the writing. I didn't participate in any of that. I just knew the writing and everything, why we were working on it. Mm-hmm. And espera, Eli, mira, yo estoy en reunión. Yo estoy en reunión. Dale, vaya para allá. Dale. And that's it. That was, sorry.
No worries.
I know it's nowadays life. And that was it, you know. Pero, dale, ok, vayan para abajo, gordis, dale, que estoy en reunión, dale, cerrá, ratona. Dale, vaya. ¿Está bien, Serra? And I'm sorry. And
No
that's
worries.
it, becoming friends and, sharing, going to the cinema, watching films in houses, and wanting to do cinema. That was the real thing. And it was the case with them who had the opportunity to work in a feature film. It was a big thing at the time, that we were just making short films and during weekends. Or I did a one semester in VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University in the US. And I worked in 16 millimeters for the first time there. That was in 98, and so at the time of making the film and putting our work there, our time, our effort, our love there, it was beautiful.
How long were you in the US?
Just a semester in 98 was my last semester of school. I decided to move from Montevideo. I always like to travel, and I had that opportunity because the school had like the exchange program with VCU, and I still have friends from that time, and it was a beautiful experience there. And
I guess 25 watts meant a lot of things for many people, and more so for the inner group. Did that was that film inspiring for you to make a film career, or how did it play in your
own? I mean, at the time I knew I wanted to make films. It was just a matter of how to, and that film proved that's why it was so important at the time, proved that it was not just only our desire to do things, it was just a possibility. Because if this hunger, hunger for cinema was possible to make it real, it was possible for everyone. At the time, as I told you, I was making shorts, I was doing like more amateur things. And of course, it was important, because I don't know, it was something that was growing, and that energy of that time was so special, mixed with the age, it was 20-something, and it was important in that sense, that something can be real. You can do something.
And then how is that you were able to make your debut feature?
At the time in 2000, I was living I went to live to Spain, and I lived there until 2006. But I came back to Uruguay for some moments. Also the Whiskey Shooting, the second film by Juan Pablo and Pablo Stoll, because they were friends and I wanted to work there. They wanted also to work with me in a technical also aspect. And I did a first short film in 2004, also in Uruguay. I came from Spain again to Uruguay to make that short. And it has the seed of what later was Acne, the like coming of age story of a guy in Montevideo. And I started writing with that object, to make Acne, and Acne was, I wrote it in Madrid while I was living there. And it was the idea to come back in 2006 because life was changing and a different phase of life was coming. So the idea was to come to Montevideo, make it. So the people, the production company of my friends and me also as producer, we said, hey, why don't we do this? We applied for some fundings, etc. And we went for it. I applied for funds and development and production too. And we were also lucky to have good partners in Spain, in Mexico, and that was the possibility, to make that film. And yeah, we shot it in 2007 and premiered in 2008.
And you premiered at Directors Fortnight, so
yeah.
How was premiering the film at that platform? And
it was beautiful. premiering it, of course, and it was my first time in Cannes, and it was marvelous, of course, to see the film that I dreamed for so long. Yeah, plenty of people, and it was beautiful, you know. It was natural too to present it, because it was natural to present my work, even if it was something new. It was something that, you know, I was kind of meant to, you know, to present something. I love to present my films. I'm not that kind of shy, you know, even if I'm can be frightened, but I'm not shy. I love to show my work. I think I think it's the best moment, you know, when you can show your work. And I realized it there also, you know, because I was in touch with people and with reactions, and it always, and it still always fulfills me, you know, the reaction with the audience. And to it's in a way the first presentations, it's the image of a pregnancy that ends, you know. It's you go together until it's part of the world, you know. It's that moment. So it was beautiful, you know. It was really, really good.
And then from acne, you take a big leap and make a useful life. You know, from a teenager perspective, you go to a mature protagonist. Can you tell us about the wanting to make a useful life? What's the genesis of the project?
They are all teenagers. No,
we'll get back to that.
At the time, I went with Acne to the AFI festival in LA, and we won the award at the time. It was Fuji Film Cannes at the time, for people who's young and is maybe watching this video. It was normal that in a festival you can win through the prize or major prize or a special mention or whatever, cans of film. And I did that, and it happened to me. And it was, and in fact, it was, I think, 35 millimeters. And I wanted to shoot A Useful Life because I had it in mind at the time in 16. So I even changed them to 16, I think. And I made them send to me to Montevideo. And I started shooting A Useful Life, that I had the script for the film. It was in 2009 in my head. And I just shoot it with that. And the origins of A Useful Life also comes from my time in Madrid, because at the time also I was writing a story of a guy who was working in a film archive in Madrid, and a guy originally from Uruguay was working in a film archive in Madrid, and this guy went to visit his family in Uruguay, so he visited also his old friends from the film archive in Uruguay. So it was in a way typical coming back to the roots kind of film, but the roots of cinema in a way. Sure. So that film, after being living in Montevideo for a couple of years, I said, no, I'm not going to make it, but what can I bring from that film? Some characters. So when I met the main actor of A Useful Life, he died, sure, who was a journalist from Uruguay, I said, that idea that I had at the time of this guy, maybe I can bring it different with this guy, with this head, you know, because it suits me. I think it's good. The story applies to him, and I changed it only to Montevideo and to put him in just the ambient of the film archive in Uruguay, which was my belly, if I was the baby in a way. And the guy who also plays Martinez Carril, the director of the Cinematheque, not the programmer who's the main character, but the second character, let's say. He's my mentor. I make cinema thanks to him. Also, of course, because of the directors, but this guy, Martinez, who also worked with me in Acne, in something, and also in a short film that I made. He was not an actor, but he had great timing as an actor. He was the guy. He was the man programming originally at the Cinematheque in Uruguay, who opened me the door to cinema. In my mind, he was God. We used to tell him God. So this guy was, I also had the part for him and for Jorge, the main actor, and the cans there and the script. And I said, okay, let's go on. And it was again, not Acme, that we had some money to shoot it, but in the case of A Useful Life, it was a kind of film made like 25 watts, as you were saying, like just with soul, let's say, and with people who wanted to work with me and the people who we were part of the film, you know, and that was the case, you know. I moved it, I did it, I produced it, I did everything. It was the only way to do it, you know, to just jump in the swimming pool, and it was like that, and I was not just thinking, and I was not thinking at all okay, I just did a film about a coming of age teenager guy, and now I'm mature. No, in my mind, things don't work like that. Doesn't work like that. So it's just the actors, the age, the emotions that every film needs, you know. And in that case, it was that. And I can say that at the time I was 20 something or 30 something, no, 30 something, and the character was 50 something, let's say. And I don't know, I was inside this band too, if I have to be, you know. And yeah, it's not a matter of age, it's just a matter of emotions, obviously.
Sure. And I want to talk about a little about your characters a little bit more, but I don't know if you heard, in 2019 we did a Cinema Tropical. We did a poll with film programmers and film professionals around the world to select the best films, the best Latin American films of the decade. And actually, A Useful Life was considered one of the best Latin American films of the decade.
I knew it. Someone sent it to me, and I entered the link, and I saw it, and it was beautiful to be part of one of the lists of the good lists. Yeah.
You know, I say all this because, and particularly during the pandemic, A Useful Life is a film that I mean, through this past year, 10 years, but particularly last year, A Useful Life is a film that was coming back with this transition in terms of what's going to happen with cinema, with cinemas closed for over a year now, and with the uncertainty of the future of cinema. You know, it's a film that was going back all the time. It's for me, it's very interesting to rewatch it 10 years later, because it's still kind of very up to date, very vital.
Did you like it?
Yeah, no, it holds even more so than when it premiered somehow.
Yeah, of course, and in the same way that in silent cinema, and then the cinema with dialogues and with sound and color and black and white and color, the discussion was always there. You know what's going to happen. Also with the digital, at the time I was working in a film archive, it was familiar to me. You know, the transition, and now it's also the same. Of course, the transition, cinema at home, not at home, with people in a place or no. And I just have the same thing to say, that also reading the people who wrote at the time, and is meanwhile we as audience love to watch films and to be inside stories, and that we like to have narrations to watch and see and get emotion. There's always going to be cinema, because the creation is going to be always there. It's not that the kind of consumption is going to change, that okay, nobody wants to do it anymore. No, people wanting to do it's there, just based on that, you know. It's otherwise there's going to be a lot of implosions, you know, and it's not good. So I don't think it's nothing, it's dying, it's just transforming. And I think it's a lot of ways for expression, you know. And when I think in cinema, in my case, I know that there's people who also just love the cinema and the people sitting. Of course I love that, and I go to films in your city, in New York. When I go to New York, I go to see prints, 35 millimeters. My tourism is to see prints because I like that, you know.
Sure.
Of course, there's good cinema there, but so I'm an addict of that. I love that. But when I make cinema, I'm just connected with the emotion of, as I said it many times before, by what what a film can bring to someone who's open and willing to receive inputs for something, you know, and that's art. It's the same with music and literature. So I have nothing to say more than it's a world full of possibilities for watchers and creators.
You were mentioning, do you rewatch your films, or what's your? I know a lot of filmmakers just never watch the films again. What's your case?
I can do it. I didn't have the chance a lot because when my films are shown, it may be in a festival that I go, but I don't stay because I go and hang out with people while the film is going on. But I did watch A Useful Life in 2016. I think that it was showing in at Harvard Film Archive. And it was being shown in a 35mm print. So I wanted to see how was the print there. And no, it was nice to watch it. Yeah, but I'm not against. No, of course, when you make films, you see your material many times, and then you're fed up with your thing. But if I have to watch it or to show it to someone sometime, if you want to share a moment with someone, you know, it's cool. And I think for my last film, for The Money Changer, in some of the premieres, of course, I watched it and I enjoyed it with the team, with the people. I think it's beautiful also to sometimes, if you have the chance to see your work, that it's not your work anymore. It's a work that it's there, you know. So yeah, I have no taboos in a way, you know. I'm free. If I have to, if I want, I just do it, and I don't have theories, you know, for making and for having relationship with things. I'm happy with everything, and if someone wants to see a film only in his iPhone and it's the only way he can watch it, I'm happy with that, you know.
Sure.
I'm cool.
So that was your last film in 35mm. So
Sorry?
That was your last film on 35 millimeter.
Yeah. After that, no, but actually it was shown in HD in any case. But and A Useful Life in 16. The Apostate in digital, and Belmonte and The Money Changer too in digital. Yeah. And
then with your next film, you go to Madrid. Can you tell us about your connection with Madrid? You're saying that you spent time there, and what's your relationship with Madrid, and how do you see it compared with Montevideo? What's your connection with both cities, I guess?
Madrid is. I lived from my 24th years old until my 30th, and then I went every year many times, and sometimes for a long time, you know, after. And I love the city, and I have many friends, and I did so many beautiful things there. And The Apostate was a story that came from one of my best friends. It's called Alvaro. He's the main actor of the film. And it was conceived for him because the first input, you know, was his experience trying to apostate from Catholic Church in Madrid, you know. And
so it was his personal story.
The trial, it was his personal thing. Then we construct, we build, we did some fantasies, but there were 3 or 4 episodes, you know, the going to his own church where he was baptized, going to the bishop office, you know, with some dialogues. In fact, there's a dialogue a couple of lines that we took it from my friend, literally. And then, yeah, a couple of moments, you know, that there were from my friend, but it just that and the tone, because my friend, he's a really good guy, like in the film, he doesn't want to harm anyone, and he just wants to be left out. Yeah, I'm okay, you know. It's just he wants to define his territory in a way. And the tone, no, I'm not going to say cynicism, but just maybe he's funny and you know, and clumsy sometimes, and very poignant tone sometimes. I think it was a beautiful mixture for a film, and I did it in Madrid because I could, of course, but it was the only place I knew where to do it. I knew the locations, I knew the places. My friend was there, and it was, I think, a kind of film that needed to be there. You know, it's related to a place. I think all of my films, and in general, all the films I see and I watch or I like to make, are related to a place. Places are important for me. Characters too, of course, and the combination, it's very important. But in the Apostate, of course, the main conflict of this guy had to do with Spain, and not every city of Spain has to be a urban city, and Madrid and the center of the country. I don't know. It was specifically from there, like my friend. So yeah, and I love Madrid, and it's I keep going every year if I can, and I have projects to work there, and I like many films from history of Spain. There's beautiful, beautiful films, and I work at the film archive there. I have friends who work there, and I don't know, my life is also there, you know.
In that kind of duality, with this film in particular, with the Apostate, you were brought up Jewish, and the Apostate is about a man who wants to relinquish his Catholic religion. So I find that also very interesting. What did you learn about Catholicism making the film, or what was the connection with Catholicism making the film?
It was. Ahora voy, dale, da para abajo, ponte agüita y yo ahora voy, dale. It was good. It was through that friend, of course, and of course from knowing people, watching films, and reading, etc. I knew how the codes of the religions were, you know. Even if I wasn't raised as a religious Jewish, you know, I did my bar mitzvah, which is like the confirmation at 13 years old, when a guy gets adult in right. Jewish religion. But of course, very many similar things to the Catholic people. But also in the end, the film is not talking about religion. It's what I was thinking. It's just talking about the place of a guy, and he's just fighting for a register. He just doesn't want to have his name there because he feels that he doesn't represent there. And one can say, hey, why don't you forget it? But he doesn't say it. So that's basically the plot of the film, you know, and the funny thing, you know, and until the end, because they're saying no, he's gonna pursue it and doing whatever he needs to do it. And I think that was funny. And I don't think that's related also to a religion. It's just a way of being, like a mood of this character mixed with a religion that we already know, and you don't have to explain it. It's all there in a film. Just see the location, you see the people, even you can smell things. Of course, this guy has his own argument. He lived with guilty issues. His mother is not happy with the thing, socially and emotionally. That's why the film was made in Spain, because religion has, it's a very important ingredient in many families, not only in terms of social circumstances, but also in terms of politics too, because in Spain, the religion is part of the politics and the budget of the state, which is the final discussion that people who want to apostate as a group, they also don't want that their the taxes go for the church. They want that. Well, it's in many ways it's I don't know. It was connected to this guy, but this guy didn't want to be part also of the group that he wanted to do that. So he was like, in a way, doing something different from the people who's also wanting to apostate in that traditional way. So it was, in a way, a freak inside the freak system too. Just to put it in I don't know, in other words. But in any case, yeah, I felt very familiar with talking about or telling a story that religion was one of the ingredients, because I love what it comes, for granted, something with that the education is has an influence to people and things that aren't discussed, that are there and affects to one's personality. I like that. I come from a background that has also that, and also in a way the attempt to apostate from this guy, it's impossible. You can't erase what you've been, what you did. Of course, it's that discussion in the end.
I find something very interesting in your films. You were talking about Alvaro, how he was part of his story, and actually it was his first film, right? As I know.
His first experience as an actor and his first film.
Which I find that very interesting, that you, in most of your films, you work with known actors, but they're not only known actors. They're people working in film, or close to you in some way or another. Gonzalo Delgado in Belmonte. You also mentioned Jorge Henrique in A Useful Life. So I find also that very Henrique in A Useful Life. So I found that very, very interesting also, that you have a very peculiar type of protagonist.
Not in my last film, that in The Money Changer, that there's all with actors, also a very clockwise script. The people who worked as actors in those 4 films, let's say, they were just the people who I felt they could be the character, not to play it. So I need that, So dale, anda para abajo, yo ahora voy. 12, baje. So it's that, it's a matter of connection, of soul, those, when I met Gonzalo Delgado, okay, he's a very good friend of me, and I knew he was the person perfect for that film. In fact, I wrote it for him, and the same with Jorge Seinek of A Useful Life. Once I met him, and I rebuilt that story that I was telling before for him, and then I couldn't, divide it, and the same with The Apostate. And at first we were trying to look for an actor, maybe in terms of production it would have been better. And I was doing the effort, to divide myself from my friend that I needed him, and the same with Agni, a guy, 13 years old. Nobody's an actor at that time, especially in non-industry in the audiovisual countries like Uruguay at the time. So yeah, I don't know. It's the people who I can trust in order to have what I need in the screen, and it's something material more than technical.
Sure.
And once I said that, I also tell you that my last film, as said I just said that I work with actors, and it was beautiful, and having the opportunity to work with actors, those lines that we've been working with my co-scenarist many years. It was beautiful to have actors playing and making those lines feel different, say different, and to have different kind of, you know, different wide range of things. You know, it was also beautiful, and I think every film needs different things. And as I was saying before, I have no taboo. If I need someone that it's apart from the cinema and has no relation, and if it's the one I need, okay, I go for it, you know.
Sure.
So depends on the project. I just leave myself go.
And talking about your collaborators, can you talk about your professional relationship with Aurauco Hernandez? He shot 4 of your 5 films, and
yeah,
and he's also worked with you in some of the screenplays.
Yeah,
can you talk about your creative relationship?
It was a beautiful mix since the beginning with A Useful Life. I came to him with the idea, and we did together some tests with the actor, and it was a beautiful moment. And while we were working, also his collaboration. While we were working, he was DP at the time. He had like good ideas also for a script or dialogues, and I put them there. So that's why he's part of the credit of Useful Life as screenwriter. And then I worked together with him in Belmonte and in The Apostate 2 in Madrid. It was a nice opportunity for me to tell my friend, also DP, to come to Madrid, to my life, to my work, to make a film there with another friend, also Gonzalo Delgado, art director of Acne, also co-writer in A Useful Life, an actor there. He came to Madrid to be the art director. He was also the actor in Belmonte after. So I think it's something good, and when a film can be done, also it's because I put together some ingredients that include sometimes the friend's talents, you know, and it was good. So the collaboration was really good. And with the Money Changer, he was also, apart from DP, co-writer of the film, because when I first found the novel, we inspired the film. I read it, and I was sure that was a film, and instantly I had some sequences and ideas, and I told him, hey, if you like this, if you think we can do it together, and he liked it, and he said, let's go, and it's been like 6 years since we started writing, and then making the film. So he was also with the origins of the project. So and that was good collaboration for that for those films. You know, it's very nice to collaborate. To make cinema is also to be open for others' talent, at least in my case, you know, and I like that. And I think it's a lot of, you have to trust other people in order to receive their inputs, their creativity. And that's why I'm also referring to Gonzalo Delgado, a very special person. So, and that influenced me in a good way too. So yeah, it's good, you know, that kind of collaboration, because there's always the film there that has to be done, people who you can share your view, your vision.
You were talking about few characters, the character from Acne and the character from A Useful Life, is saying that maybe both are teenagers.
The guy of The Apostate 2 and Belmonte,
right, exactly.
2
that's why I'm hearing your films, or the protagonists of your films are, you know, are males, are men that are going to they're dealing with angst in different stages of their lives. You know, men confronting or young men confronting their sexuality, job, divorce, I don't know, religion, parenthood. in a very nuanced way. So, which I find very intriguing. It almost could feel the same person just at different stages of their life and in different professions somehow. I guess the question is how autobiographical are your films? How much draw you from your own personal experience in each of these characters?
A lot, I can say, because I'm there making them. I'm always there, you know, I write and direct and you're there all the time. That doesn't mean that I'm making a reenactment of things I've lived or a documentary on my thing. No, not at all. As in the same way I'm there, my friends are there, my brothers are there, some cousins are there. There's experience from many people and things that come, you know, it's like you're like a sponge. But yeah, I can tell you that now, and sometimes I've been asked about that, you know, and the mails and doing also in transition, etc. And I think, you know, what I can say related to the like biographical, etc. thing is that I maybe, yeah, it's I'm not a theory person, but I can say that in a way life is a coming of age issue. We are all the time, you know, going from one place to another, and the evolution, you know, the coming of age is sometimes for one, like you're a teenager or the adulthood, and when you're more mature, etc. And I think it's all the time, you know, and I don't know, I like to, and my antennas, you know, are a little bit there, maybe in the transformations, in the evolutions, in things that are going from one place to another, like every film in a way. But in my case, yeah, I can also tell it. Yes.
Another common element in your films, it's the use of humor. In some way or another, you always include humor, sometimes you know, understated way. Can you talk about the use of humor in your films? How do you approach humor?
It comes. I think, yeah, I need it, and I think it comes, and I need it to come. I think it's something natural, that it's part of the way I like to be in relation with the audience. I think humor is to, I don't know, it's to trust also your story, your narration, and also to trust that the complicity that you're gonna have with the audience can be there. If someone is smiling or laughing internally also, that's the kind maybe of humor that is from the film. I think it means that I'm there following you. I follow you. And that's just what I want, you know, to have a journey together with the people who's watching it. And sometimes humor, it's like a little, let's go together. Yeah, let's continue. And I think it's, yeah, I think it's a little bit like that, you know, like the joy of watching, you know, to share the joy of doing it also, you know, and if it's there, I think it's always welcome. Of course, if the narration allows it, you know, and I think even in maybe in my last film, the humor is a little bit illegal, because you're talking of a guy whose his morals are, you know, everyone can judge him in a way. But I think it's also important, you know, but the way he's himself too, you know, I think in some other way you can find it in case you need it and in case you want it. And in my case, yeah, I think I need it, and I like that to happen. I think it's good, you know, for it's good.
How was working with a bigger budget on The Money Changer? You were talking about some elements, working with a professional cast. It was an adaptation of a book. which it was a first for you on both ends.
Yeah,
And what was the experience of working in this different way from
it
your
was
previous films?
wonderful. It was wonderful. It was again a dream come true. When that dream comes true, because I've been, as I said, now 6 years working in the script, and I knew had to be a bigger film or no film at all, because of the, you needed those locations, the staging, you needed that. And it was wonderful, and we shot, I think, 7 weeks and a half in a great production company, in Montevideo, and with actors, and choosing beautiful things to do and reshooting things that we didn't like. I think it was wonderful, and I loved the experience. Of course, it was wonderful. And also making an adaptation of a novel was very fulfilling, because it also gave me in the same way you take for yourself other stories or ideas or things that are bringing, are part of a table, and you can do it, you can make it for for your story. It happens the same with the novel, and it doesn't mean that, okay, if you make it for your own, it means that it's good or bad. No, you need that to make a film. You need to feel that relation to the material, that you belong, that you have a relation to that. And what happened to the novel, it was that, as soon as I read it, I said, okay, this is for me. This is talking to me at first, and I can make it my own. And this word that it's being presented here, I can make it my own in that way particular. Yeah, that's a mixture of, the what's there and your vision coming together. Yeah.
We're running out of time, but I still have a couple of questions. I'm curious, what part of the filmmaking process do you enjoy the most? Writing, shooting, editing, post-production, or all of them? Because I know that you're a big cinephile. So, is there any?
I like the sound mixing a lot.
How come?
I love it. You have all the film there. It's all ready. You've been working so hard writing it. Of course, it's beautiful to write. Sure. And shooting, it's okay. It's nice. I like it too. It's a lot of fun and emotional. I get very emotional also when shooting. Looking at the monitor, I cry also. I think it's beautiful. Editing is wonderful, of course. You have your material there. You're just sitting there doing this and that. But okay, many questions. The film has to be made. But the last thing, which is the last creative moment, the sound mixing, it's incredible. When the music you've been thinking from the writing, that it's been there with the volume, with the design of the sound that you've been working to, and all there, a little bit that, a little bit there, and I would like the ambience more, that, this, whatever. And you're sitting there and feeling, and you are, in a way, what I feel with the sound mixing is, okay, you have it's like, you have the box, and you're designing how that box is going to be felt when received. And that's it. And you have the box. Okay, you don't have to fight anymore. The box is there. Now you're just living with that, like the strawberry in the cake, you're just living with that, and that's incredible, because that's something that it can influence all the viewing, all the connection with your box, with your film, how you present it, how it's there. And also there's subliminal or internal things that nobody knows, but are there, in the sound mixing. But it's incredible. The sound mixing and in my first film in acting, when I was doing the sound mixing, wow, I did all this journey into do this. And now I have 2 weeks doing this job. this is amazing. And in a way, I work for the sound mixing. And I'm joking and also being serious because, yeah, I love that. I think it's wonderful.
I see. I think the first filmmaker I know that really loves sound mixing.
Yeah.
Just closing out 2021, we just went through a pandemic, and a lot of countries in Latin America have shut down support to cinema. The money production has dried up. What are the challenges right now in terms of filmmaking in Uruguay specifically?
The same as before, you know, it's trying to do what I want to do and to make a living all together. That's the thing. But in any case, I'm not used to depend on public funding so far, which is good. And even if I had at some time, but you know, I work too much on my instinct, you know, and just, as I said before, throwing myself to the swimming pool. And now I think my personal challenge is to combine, you know, my desire with new possibilities. I'm also writing for TV. I think there's many beautiful opportunities to work with actors, etc. I didn't start to work on television. Hopefully I can do it. And I'm adapting books, and I'm working some other original material, and I'm writing also a couple of films that I would love to shoot in the US, you know, and wanting to work with producers whom I like a lot and people who's interested in my work. That's new for me, and I try to take advantage of that. So it's not something, I don't know, if you are connected with the things you want and the things you have to do, the pandemic or the transition, the streamers now, and the difficulty of public finances, the public fundings, or different things. Okay, these are things that you have always to adapt. But in my case, if all goes well, I would love to continue into this all the time. So I'm not in a hurry. I'm just I'm in a hungry more than a hurry. You know, it's just that. And I'm always hungry. And when it comes, it will come. And if it's not this project, I'm get a little bit frustrated, and maybe the other. Yeah, I just say it now, like everything is wonderful. No, sometimes, yeah, you get very frustrated. You work so hard, and nobody wants that film, that script, etc. Yeah, of course, yeah. I have to. I try to deal like I sound, in a good and mature way, you know, like, you know, in a template way. But it's part of the job, and I'm doing that, and I don't know. Let's see what happens.
Looking forward to your new projects, as always. A pleasure.
Thank you. And, thanks for everything.
Pleasure, and thank you to the audience for watching.
Thank you for watching. Hopefully.